What kind of warm-ups would you recommend for running?
So I think a dynamic warm-up is better than like static stretching where you're just standing there. And that's because it like increases your heart rate and increases the blood flow in your muscles. And then you're gonna feel a lot more warmer and looser when you get going on that run.
So if I wanted to run a long run or a tempo or interval run, how would I approach warming up for those?
Right, great question. So I think on a long run, I would start with maybe a 5-minute jog, like a really light jog first, and then come up and do that dynamic warm-up. Okay, and then you should be ready for your run. But if you're doing like an interval where you have a higher intensity run, I would definitely do that warm-up run for 5 minutes, get your dynamic warm-up in, and do some heart rate stuff like mountain climbers, get some high intensity, and then end with a couple build-up runs where you're starting at a slow and going to about a 75-80% pace. That way you're ready for high intensity workout right from the get-go of your run. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Do you have any tips of if I'm training for my first half or full, how to get started, get into it, work myself up to that distance?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say get on a good training plan. So there's running coaches in Houston that are great. Maybe hire a running coach or look up a good training plan online and stick to it. That will give you a taper or a program that you can follow as you increase your distance. And then also, maybe a couple months before your big race, sign up for a smaller race like a 5K or a 10K so you can get used to what the racing scene is like. You can try out your outfit for the day and your nutrition and just kind of get used to how everything's feeling. And it's a good reward, right? Race day is the best part.
Yeah.
It's totally the best part.
So while training for a marathon, should I incorporate cross training?
Absolutely. There's no way you should be running 6 days a week training for a marathon. It's just too much work and it's too hard on your body. So doing things like elliptical can get your heart rate up. Swimming is one of my favorites because you can do a lot of cardiovascular benefit without loading your body. You can do yoga, which gets your core strength and stretching in. And then even like spin classes or going for a bike ride outside would be a good thing.
Okay.
So I'm training for a marathon right now. Should I focus on strength training?
Oh, strength training is critical. If you have 2 days a week that you can put a little bit time in, like maybe 30 minutes those 2 days, and get some machine weights in at the gym, that's great. But if you don't have time to go to the gym, you can always do some of the resistance exercises I'm going to show you today. You can do those at home, and it takes about 15 minutes a day.
Great.
Would you recommend stretching before or after the workout?
So I would say doing your dynamic warm-up before will be enough, and then afterwards you can do a little bit of static stretching and hit those problematic areas. You can do foam rolling and a little bit of yoga, any of those things, but definitely static stretching afterwards, not before.
Okay. So I love to walk. Is there any way I can incorporate that into my marathon training?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually do a walk jog method on my running, training for any kind of run. And especially if you're a beginner and you're not used to running long distances, you can incorporate it where you're walking 4 minutes, running 2 minutes. And then as you get better, you're going to do less walking and then more running. And then that'll, you'll be able to increase your run.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
What are the most common injuries when training for an endurance race, like a half marathon or a marathon?
That's a great question. I think overuse injuries are probably the most common just because you're putting in so many miles. So I would say if you have a nagging injury that's happened and it's occurred and it keeps going for a month or so, then you probably need to go to a specialist and check it out because it's just going to get worse, right? Because you can't really stop training. Some of the more mild injuries, maybe like an IT band syndrome on the side of your hip or your knee, some patellar tendonitis, or even some like hip flexor tightness, stuff like that.
Do you have any top tips of how to successfully train for an endurance event?
So do you ever have those days where you're just tired, it's been a long day at work, you just don't want to go work out?
Oh, all the time.
All the time, but you still got to go, right? So that's my big tip there is like you still got to just get the dynamic warm up in, get a jog in, and then you're probably going to feel good and still want to run, right? Yeah. If it doesn't feel right after that 15, 20 minutes, then you can, call it a day and try tomorrow.
Okay.
The last big thing is don't try anything new on race day. Please don't try anything new on race day, okay? So what does that mean? Like if you have a brand new pink pair of shoes you want to try on, race in them for 2 weeks, okay? Give yourself 2 weeks to try on your new outfit or your race shoes, whatever, before race day.
Okay.
Okay?
Nothing new on race day.
Exactly.